Have you ever been stuck in one of those traffic jams? You're just inching along for miles, and then, poof, it clears up. There was no accident, no breakdown, absolutely no reason for it at all. So you have to wonder, who's in control? Well, the answer is way more surprising than you think. And it kind of reveals this invisible set of rules that governs, well, everything, from stock market crashes to the very thoughts in our own heads. Ready? All right, so here's the plan. First, we're going to question who's really in charge in this leaderless world. Then we're going to look at things a little differently, as a jungle, not a clock. We'll get into the magic of emergence, see exactly why things can spiral out of control, and then finally, figure out how we can learn to dance with these systems instead of always trying to fight them. So that brings us right to the heart of the mystery. In a world that's just full of these massive, coordinated events, who, or, what, is actually pulling the strings? I mean, really think about it. You've got thousands of cars, all slowing down at the same time, moving like this single, giant organism. But there's no leader, right? No central command center telling everyone, okay, hit the brakes now. It just happens. But how? And it's not just traffic. Not by a long shot. It's the exact same mysterious force that can make a financial market just suddenly tank without any single obvious cause. Or the same thing that makes a simple video get seen by millions of people practically overnight. Who's the director behind all these global blockbusters? So you've got the traffic jam, the market crash, the viral video. They seem totally unrelated, don't they? But what if I told you that the invisible force behind all three is exactly the same? Absolutely no one. It's a really weird thought to wrap your head around, but these things are not controlled by some central authority. They're the product of what we call complex systems. It's like a ghost in the machine that runs things without any leader at all. Now, to really get this, we kind of need a whole new way of looking at the world. We have to stop thinking about things as clocks and start seeing them for what they often are: jungles. And this difference is everything. So on the left, you've got a clock. That's a simple system. You can take it apart, you can understand every little gear, and you can predict exactly what it's going to do. The whole is literally just the sum of its parts. But on the right, you have a jungle, a complex system. Or hey, think about Mumbai's train network. Millions of people, trains, signals, all interacting. You just can't predict how one tiny signal failure might create this ripple effect that shuts down the entire city. In systems like that, the whole is so much greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so if no one is in control, where does all this incredible order and, frankly, intelligence come from? Well, it comes from a kind of magic called emergence. Emergence is this amazing process where a crowd becomes way smarter than any single individual inside it. Just think about your own consciousness. It emerges from 86 billion neurons all firing together. Not one of your neurons can think, but together, they create you. You are an emergent property of your own brain. A perfect example is an ant colony. A single ant, it's pretty simple. It has no grand plan for the future. But when you get thousands of them all following very basic rules, like say, follow the pheromone trail, they collectively create what you could call a superorganism. It's this intelligent entity that can pull off incredible feats of engineering and logistics. That colony-level brainpower, that's pure emergence. And we see the same thing up in the sky. I mean, look at a flock of birds turning in perfect, beautiful unison. It's breathtaking. There's no lead bird shouting out orders. Instead, every single bird is just following 3 simple local rules. 1, stay close to your neighbors. 2, don't crash into them. And 3, fly in their average direction. And from just those 3 rules, that gorgeous coordinated dance emerges. That's self-organization in action. Now, this emergent behavior is incredible to watch, but it definitely has a dark side. It's what makes these systems so ridiculously unpredictable, and it's why things can suddenly spiral completely out of control. You've probably heard the saying, right? That a butterfly flapping its wings in the Amazon could cause a hurricane in Texas? Well, it's not just a cool phrase, it's a fundamental truth of complex systems. A tiny, almost unmeasurable difference at the start can lead to wildly different outcomes down the line. That's why perfect long-term prediction is basically impossible. So one of the key engines driving all this unpredictability is something called the positive feedback loop. Now, positive here doesn't mean good. It just means amplifying. It is the classic snowball effect. A small thing gets bigger, which then makes it get bigger even faster. This is exactly how things go viral or, how they crash. Just look at how a video goes viral. It starts with a few shares. That gives it more visibility. More visibility leads to exponentially more shares. And the loop just feeds on itself, turning a tiny spark into a raging inferno. The very same dynamic creates stock market bubbles. Prices go up, so more people buy, which pushes prices up even more until pop.
So if these positive loops are always amplifying everything, why doesn't the world just explode or collapse? Well, the answer is the negative feedback loop. And again, negative here doesn't mean bad, it means stabilizing. This is basically the system's thermostat, always working to bring things back into balance.
Your home's air conditioner is a perfect, simple example. The room gets too hot, so the AC kicks on to cool it down. Once it gets to the right temperature, it shuts itself off. Your own body uses thousands of these loops to regulate things like temperature and blood sugar, keeping you stable and alive. A really healthy system is just this beautiful dance between these two types of loops. All right, so all of this brings us to a whole new philosophy. If we can't really predict or control these complex jungles that we live in, what are we supposed to do? And this really is the critical question, isn't it? Trying to command a complex system is, well, it's like trying to command the weather. You are always going to fail. So is there a better way?
The amazing systems thinker Donella Meadows gave us the answer. You don't control the dance. You learn its rhythm, its flow, its rules, and you move with it. It takes a lot of humility, a lot of listening, and a lot of observation instead of just brute force.
So, the secret to dancing effectively is finding what are called leverage points. These are small, sometimes hidden spots in a system where just a gentle push can create massive change. So instead of building a giant, expensive wall to stop a river from flooding, the dancing approach is to study the river's flow and maybe discover that just planting a few trees at its source can naturally regulate the entire system. It's all about working smarter, not harder. You know, this way of thinking, it changes everything. It asks us to be more humble, more observant, and a lot more creative. So the question I want to leave you with is this. In your own life, in your work, in your community, instead of trying to control the outcome, how will you start learning the steps to the dance?